Hi, you are listening to the Diary of a Medium, Stories from the Spirit World podcast. I'm your host, Em Stavisky, psychic medium, spiritual mentor, and founder of the Modern Mediumship Academy. This podcast is for you if you have ever been curious about the spirit world, if you've had weird, unexplained experiences, or signs from the universe that you have dismissed but secretly you couldn't forget. Because mediumship isn't just for the chosen few, it's already within you, and it's time for you to claim your power. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of Diary of a Medium, Stories from the Spirit World podcast. I'm Em, and I am so excited to bring you this first episode. Oh my gosh, we got here. I got here. It's been a journey. It really has. Now, when I was wondering, where would I really start? There's a moment, I think, in everyone's life that splits it into this before and after feeling. For me, that was the moment when my dad passed away. So in this episode, I want to take you into that chapter of my life, what happened, the grief, unexpected experiences that followed, and how a trip from Australia all the way to the other side of the world to Germany, where my dad lived, became the turning point where I really realized that my spiritual abilities could no longer be ignored. So it was around about 8 years ago. I woke up on the morning of my birthday to a random overseas number ringing my phone. I remember ignoring the call, thinking, well, it's just, a spam call, some telemarketer. And it was just at that moment, my husband said to me, maybe this is an important call, which at the time I remember thinking, that's a really random thing for him to say. I then just had this feeling inside of me, I needed to call this number back. Never, ever have I done that. We get random numbers all the time, right? When I called back that number, the person on the other side of that phone was actually my stepsister. And what she said to me next would change the whole trajectory of my life. So she told me that my dad was in hospital and that it was very serious. This came completely out of the blue for me. There was no run up to this. And after all, I was on the other side of the world. Literally. Now, my dad and I had never really had the best, never really had the best relationship. He wasn't in my life a lot. He was in and out. I used to see him as a child once a year, maybe twice a year if I was lucky. And there was a lot of repairing that really needed to be done in our relationship. And I held a lot of resentment, to be honest. If I'm completely honest, I held a lot of resentment over our relationship and had always sought validity from him. I just wanted him to be proud of me. I just wanted him to show me that love that I was craving for. And in all honesty, it didn't really happen, but I came to understand that he showed me the love the only way that he could. It's been a big part of my healing journey. So after receiving that phone call, I booked a flight from Australia to Germany to obviously go and be with him. I think the interesting part of this for me was taking that flight alone without the children, just by myself, was something unusual for me itself. But also, the other thing I find interesting is at no point during that journey back to Germany to see him did I ever have the feeling that I wouldn't make it, that I wouldn't arrive before he passed. Now when I look back at that, I feel like Spirit really held that from me and protected me in order for me to be able to do that huge journey by myself. without having to deal with any kind of grief in that time. So when I did arrive in Germany, some 27 hours later, it wasn't till I actually arrived at the airport that I found out that he had already passed. And as I know, a lot of you that's listening to this would know the grief and shock of finding out that someone that you loved, probably someone that you still had a lot of things that you wanted to say to, that you're not going to get that opportunity to do that now. And I was in an airport alone when I received this information. And I have to be honest, I was overcome with so much grief and shock that I ended up in the corner of the airport on the floor in complete paralysis. I couldn't move, I couldn't get up, I couldn't function. My body just went into shutdown. You know, all of those feelings, the grief, all of that stuff that comes with that shock of information like that overwhelmed me. I was actually stuck on that floor for a few hours before I was able to get myself up and actually function. And it was then that I realized that I was being guided. Like, I could just hear this repeated voice in my head, you know, you have to get up, Emma, you have to get up, you have to move, you have to keep going. And I found some strength somewhere to get up off the floor in the airport and hire a car and spend the next 2.5 hours driving on the other side of the road by myself from the airport to the little tiny country village that my dad lived in. And this was somewhere that I had visited many times as a child growing up. So there was lots and lots of memories in this place for me. I think as well, for anyone that has lost a loved one, you're expecting to get that goodbye and then you don't get it. There's a lot of things that come up when you lose someone quickly. You didn't have that opportunity. You have all of the things that's running through your mind of what you wish you'd said, what you wish you did. All of those things that you start to feel guilty about and you hold. And that's how I felt. I had the shock, but then I had the guilt that I hadn't made a phone call for a few months. I hadn't spoken to him. I'm not going to get to say the things that I needed to say. And before I actually left for Germany, I did have a phone call with him. And this is also really interesting because in that phone call, when I spoke to him before I left, I told him that I was on the way, and he had said to me, like, you don't need to come. And I had said to him, you better wait for me. You better wait. When I look back at that, I realized that I knew that that was our goodbye. Like, I didn't get that at the time. And the reason why I know that is because before I left that phone call, he said to me, I love you. Oh, feeling the energy of that now, right? And although this is really something small, it's something that I really want to bring forward. And especially for those of you that might be starting in your mediumship journey, when you think that you're delivering a message and, you know, it might be pretty basic to say to someone, he tells me that he loves you. This is actually not something that I heard from him. I would make phone calls to him. I would say to him, I love you, Dad. And he never said it back to me. So here I am in Germany, a foreign country, on my own. I've left my family behind and I have just found out that my dad has passed. I haven't got there. I haven't said goodbye to him. It was just all very surreal. And I guess the moments that stood out to me was being somewhere where I am used to having him there, or that experience of being a child and being back in my sort of childhood place where I would visit him, because my parents were parted from a very early age. So I only seen him on holidays where I would go there, I would go to Germany and I would visit him. And being in this foreign country and not being able to understand what was happening, I then found out that he had decided that he didn't want a funeral, that there wasn't going to be this funeral that I had expected to happen. And I was angry, like I felt angry about that. I was being robbed of the ability to say goodbye. And I think when I really look back, it wasn't the anger of that situation. I was angry at him. I was angry because he had left me. I was angry because I didn't get to say goodbye. I was angry because there was all of these things that I wanted to say and express to him that I never got the opportunity to do. And reflecting on that now, I say that. And you know, the one thing that I want to share is that he didn't believe in life after death. He believed that when he was dead, and that was it. There was no in between on that. And interestingly, the first time that I ever had an experience with him where a medium brought him through and literally to the T said to me, you know, I have a gentleman here and he just doesn't believe in this shit. It blew me away because I was like, oh my gosh, 100%. That would be him. He would be the person that would say that. So if you do have a person in your life like that, or you have lost a person in your life who is like that, what I do want you to know is when they do get to the other side, they do realize that actually they were wrong, and they can come and connect with you and work with you. And it actually, we have healed a lot of our relationship through his passing, actually, which is very beautiful. So I want you to know, if you're listening to this, it's okay to go through those emotions. It's okay to be angry with your loved one. It's okay to feel all of those feels and all those things. Like, you're allowed to feel angry with them. It's not wrong. So here I was in Germany. My dad was gone. I had decided to take myself off on a walk through the fields. I threw flowers in the stream. I did all of the things. I visited this beautiful, small, tiny church on the hill that I went to so many times in my childhood. And I just replayed those memories for myself through this little village in the middle of Germany. It doesn't even have a shop. And I spent the day just really connecting to the earth, connecting back to those memories with him. And I got back to his house. And really what happened next was the trajectory of me really understanding the spirit world and being connected. I had gone back to the bedroom and I was sitting very, very quietly in the bed, just reading a book. And I had been there for probably around an hour and a half, just with myself. And as I was reading, I heard this noise, and in the corner of, if I can explain it to you, in the corner of this bedroom, there was this huge chandelier, which was made of like a Balinese chandelier made of the shells. And it had been there as long as I remember in the corner of the room. I was sitting reading, and all of a sudden I heard this ding noise, and I looked up from my book and thought, that's weird. The door was closed, the window was closed, and, you know, my analytical mind said to me, it's just a breeze, it's just a draft. That's what I was like, no, it's just a draft. So I put my head back down in my book, and as I did so, I heard ting, 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 ting. And as I looked up, the wind chime in front of me started moving so erratically, like someone had taken their finger and put it all the way around this wind chime. And I just stared at it and I just watched it. And I had this overwhelming sense of peace and love. And I knew in that moment that my dad was there with me, that was his way of telling me that he knew that I got there. I knew this message was just for me. All too often in this day and age, we feel like we want to grab our phone, we want to video something, we want to share it. But I just knew I had this overwhelming sense in that moment that this was just for me, this message. And I knew deep in my soul that this was an experience that was inside of me, that I had connected, that he had connected to me. And this wasn't something that was happening to me, because all my life I have had weird shit happen to me. I always said that, like weird things, weird unexplained things. But I knew in this moment, it was almost like an integration, that I realized that all of these things that have been happening to me were actually coming from inside of me. It was my soul's knowing. It was my soul trying to tell me that I was connected, that I was having this experience, that my soul was trying to show me to remember these abilities that are inside of all of us. And it was just so, so profound. So the hardest time of my life, the hardest moment, became the beginning of me truly stepping into my abilities, right? We're all gifted. We all have abilities. This was mine. This was my inner knowing of my spiritual awakening, to start to recognize in my own life how spirit was trying to reach me, trying to connect with me. And my analytical brain wanted to constantly make sense of it. I didn't want to share that in case people thought I was weird or I was making it up. I was telling lies, like these, things weren't happening to me. And from that moment, I knew that my dad was with me. And I just can't even explain. It was an overwhelming sense of peace. The anger disappeared. The grief almost diminished, because at that moment I knew that he hadn't left me. And I actually had this awareness that our relationship now could be repaired, even though in the physical world it wasn't. It didn't get repaired. There were so many things that were unsaid, so many things that needed to be said. And now he's one of my biggest supporters on the other side. I love that I am able to have him be with me on this journey, really for the loss of him to be the thing that actually threw me into this work and my awakening journey. Just know that your loved one is always here and is always around you. If you are someone who maybe lost a loved one but can't feel them, they don't feel connected to them, often unprocessed grief is the reason. It's like we're holding on to something that needs to be processed in order for us to release that and have that connection that we want with our loved one. Be gentle on yourself. It is a journey. Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you enjoyed my story of how my spiritual awakening happened. And I know that so many of you share similar experiences. And if this is something that you would love to share, I would love to hear from you. So please check the show notes, contact me, share your story. If you would like to guest on my podcast, I would love to hear from you. I'd love to share your story, your journey, so that it can inspire other people as well, because that's what I want to do. I want to inspire other people to understand that they have it within them. It's not exclusive club to be a medium. And also, you never really know when your story is going to help someone else. And that's why we need to find our own voice and we need to share our own experiences, because there's people waiting to hear your story so that they can understand that they're not alone in their journey. And I want you to know, like, you are not alone in your journey. That time of my life was the hardest thing that I've ever faced, but it opened the doorway to spirit for me. And I'm so truly, truly thankful for that. And I know that it doesn't replace that physical presence, that, you know, the person that we love, but it just reminds us that they can still be with us in a different way. So if you are grieving right now and you've wondered if your loved one's close by, just know that they are. Just ask them to show you, bring you a song, bring you a sign, a feather, a dream, anything. Just know that they are with you. And thank you so much for listening, for being here, for really just holding space for my story. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now. Thank you so much for tuning in to Diary of a Medium, Stories from the Spirit World. If something in today's episode has sparked something within you and you are curious about your own spiritual gifts, then check out my website on how I can support you. If you have your own story to share, then please reach out. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to support me, you can subscribe, leave a review, or simply share this with a friend. So until next time, trust yourself, trust spirit, and keep listening to the whispers from the universe. Bye for now.